You wake up feeling stiff. Your energy crashes by mid-afternoon. Maybe your doctor mentioned your blood sugar or your cholesterol. You've cleaned up your diet. You're eating what everyone calls healthy, yet the numbers aren't improving, and your body keeps sending signals that something isn't right. You're doing everything the way you're supposed to, but here's what no one told you. The foods most seniors eat for health are missing the one element that actually activates longevity at the cellular level. And that missing element isn't a vitamin, a mineral, or a trendy superfood everyone's talking about. It's a category of compounds that work like molecular switches inside your cells, turning on repair systems, shutting down inflammation, and protecting the parts of your body that determine how fast you age. These compounds exist in everyday foods sitting in grocery stores right now, but most people over 60 never eat enough of them because no one explained why they matter or what they actually do once they're inside your body. What I'm about to share with you comes from decades of research into populations that live past 100 with sharp minds, strong hearts, and bodies that function decades younger than their chronological age. These aren't people taking exotic supplements or following extreme diets. They're eating specific foods that send powerful signals to their cells. Signals that tell the body to clean house, repair damage, and stay resilient against the diseases that most of us accept as inevitable parts of aging. And when researchers analyzed what these centenarians were consuming daily, they found something surprising. It wasn't about eating more. It was about eating strategically, about choosing foods that activate internal pathways most people never even know exist. If you're someone who believes you're already eating healthy, but you're frustrated that your body isn't responding the way you hoped, this information is going to change how you think about food entirely. Not because it's complicated, but because it's so simple that it feels almost unfair. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly which foods to eat every single day, what they're doing inside your cells, and why timing matters just as much as the food itself. And if this kind of root cause, science-first health education resonates with you, consider subscribing. I share content like this regularly to help you take control of your longevity naturally, without medications or gimmicks. Let me start by explaining what's really happening inside your body right now. Every single day, your cells accumulate damage. Proteins fold incorrectly. Mitochondria, the energy factories inside your cells, become dysfunctional. Toxic byproducts build up. Think of it like a city. Every day, waste accumulates on the streets. If the garbage trucks stop running, the city doesn't collapse immediately. But over weeks and months, everything slows down. Systems fail. Disease takes hold. Your body has a built-in cleanup system called autophagy. In 2016, a Nobel Prize was awarded for uncovering exactly how this process works. Autophagy is your cell's way of breaking down damaged components and recycling them into new functional parts. It's one of the most powerful anti-aging mechanisms we have. When it's working properly, autophagy protects against neurodegeneration, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and metabolic dysfunction. It keeps your brain sharp, your muscles strong, and your energy stable. Here's the part most people miss. Autophagy doesn't turn on when you're constantly eating. Every time you eat, even healthy food, insulin rises. Insulin is a growth signal. It tells your body, we're building right now. Growth is important, but constant growth without cleanup accelerates aging. It's like renovating a house without ever fixing the foundation. Eventually, the structure becomes unstable. Autophagy activates when insulin drops and nutrient intake pauses. This happens naturally during overnight fasting or when you create intentional gaps between meals. The longest living populations on Earth, studied in places like Okinawa and Sardinia, didn't snack all day. They ate simple meals, stopped eating before they felt completely full, and gave their bodies long breaks overnight. They were activating autophagy daily without even knowing the word existed. Here's a practical starting point. Create a 12 to 14 hour overnight fasting window. Finish dinner by 7 in the evening. Don't eat again until 9 the next morning. This simple rhythm begins activating cellular cleanup. Your body shifts from constant growth mode into repair and regeneration mode. You're not starving yourself. You're giving your cells the signal they need to start cleaning house. And here's why this matters for people over 60 specifically. As you age, autophagy naturally declines. That's one reason why aging accelerates. Cellular debris accumulates faster than your body can clear it. But research shows that strategic fasting windows can reactivate this system, even in older adults. You're not trying to reverse aging completely. You're trying to slow down the rate of biological damage, so your body has time to keep up with repairs. Now let's talk about the foods themselves. There's a class of compounds called polyphenols that most people have heard of, but don't truly understand. Polyphenols are found in colourful plants, olive oil, tea, berries, and dark chocolate. You've probably heard they're antioxidants, which is true, but that description misses the most important part of what they actually do. Polyphenols don't just neutralize free radicals, they activate your body's own defense systems. They turn on genes that produce internal antioxidants far more powerful than anything you could take as a supplement. They reduce chronic inflammation at the cellular level, not by masking symptoms, but by changing the signals your cells receive. And they protect the parts of your cells that determine how fast you age, including your mitochondria and your DNA. Here's the paradox. Polyphenols work because they create a small amount of stress inside your cells. Not harmful stress, but hormetic stress. The same kind of stress you get from a good workout. Your cells respond to this mild challenge by getting stronger. They activate repair pathways, they build better defenses, they become more resilient. This is the opposite of how most people think about aging. We've been told to avoid all stress, to keep everything perfectly stable. But your cells don't get younger when life is easy. They get younger when they're challenged just enough. The polyphenols with the strongest research backing include those found in extra virgin olive oil, green tea, berries, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli. These foods don't just provide nutrients, they send signals. Signals that turn on pathways related to longevity, brain health, cardiovascular protection, and metabolic flexibility. Let's break down what's happening mechanistically. Polyphenols activate something called the NRF2 pathway. When NRF2 is activated, it tells your cells to produce enzymes that neutralize toxins, reduce oxidative damage, and protect against inflammation. At the same time, polyphenols inhibit the NF-kappa B pathway, which is the master switch for chronic inflammation. By doing both simultaneously, polyphenols create a state inside your body where repair happens faster than damage accumulates. And here's why this matters specifically for people over 60. Chronic inflammation is the single biggest driver of age-related disease. It's not just arthritis or joint pain. Chronic inflammation damages blood vessels, promotes insulin resistance, accelerates cognitive decline, and increases cancer risk. Most people accept this inflammation as a normal part of aging, but it's not normal. It's reversible. And the reversal starts with the foods you eat every single day. Let's start with the most important food on this list: extra virgin olive oil. Not refined olive oil, not light olive oil, extra virgin. The difference matters because extra virgin olive oil contains over 30 different polyphenolic compounds that disappear during refinement. Two of the most powerful are called hydroxytyrosol and oleocanthal. Hydroxytyrosol crosses the blood-brain barrier and protects neurons from oxidative damage. It's one reason why populations that consume olive oil daily have significantly lower rates of Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. Oleocanthal has anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen, but without the side effects. It works by inhibiting the same enzymes that cause pain and inflammation, but it does so naturally and without damaging your stomach lining or your kidneys. The research on olive oil and longevity is so strong that it's almost impossible to ignore. Studies following Mediterranean populations for decades show that people who consume olive oil daily have lower rates of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. They live longer and they maintain cognitive function well into their 80s and 90s. This isn't genetic. When people from other regions adopt a Mediterranean diet centered around olive oil, their health improves within months. Here's how to use this information. Use 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil daily. Not as a supplement, but as part of your meals. Drizzle it on vegetables after cooking, not before, to preserve the polyphenols. Use it on salads. Mix it into soups after they've cooled slightly. The key is raw or low heat application. High heat destroys the beneficial compounds you're trying to consume. And here's a detail most people miss. The polyphenols in olive oil help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins from the vegetables you're eating. Vitamins A, D, E, and K need fat to be absorbed properly. Without fat, they pass through your digestive system unused. Olive oil doesn't just provide its own benefits, it amplifies the benefits of everything else on your plate. One more thing, quality matters. Look for olive oil in dark glass bottles. Check the harvest date if it's listed. Fresher is better because polyphenol content declines over time. If the oil has a peppery, slightly bitter taste, that's a good sign. That bitterness comes from the polyphenols themselves. Bland olive oil usually means the polyphenols are gone. Now let's talk about broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage. These vegetables belong to a family called cruciferous vegetables, and they contain a compound called sulforaphane that activates some of the most powerful longevity pathways in your body. Sulforaphane is created when you chew or chop cruciferous vegetables. An enzyme called myrosinase breaks down glucosinolates into sulforaphane. Once inside your body, sulforaphane activates the NRF2 pathway we discussed earlier. It tells your cells to produce their own antioxidants and detoxification enzymes. This is vastly more powerful than taking an antioxidant supplement because you're activating your body's internal defense systems, not just adding external compounds. The research shows that people who eat cruciferous vegetables regularly have lower rates of cancer, particularly cancers of the digestive system. Sulforaphane has been shown to inhibit the growth of cancer cells, support healthy DNA repair, and reduce inflammation in multiple organ systems. It also protects brain cells from oxidative stress and may slow cognitive decline. Here's how to maximize sulforaphane content. Don't overcook these vegetables. Steaming for 3 to 5 minutes is ideal. Boiling destroys myrosinase, the enzyme that creates sulforaphane. If you prefer roasted vegetables, add a small amount of raw cruciferous vegetable on the side to provide the enzyme. For example, roast broccoli, but add a few raw broccoli sprouts or a bit of raw cabbage to your plate. The myrosinase from the raw vegetable will convert the glucosinolates from the cooked vegetable into sulforaphane in your stomach. Research also shows that eating about 100 grams of cruciferous vegetables daily is associated with longer lifespan. That's roughly 1 cup of chopped broccoli or a generous serving of Brussels sprouts. This isn't an enormous amount. It's easily achievable with 1 meal per day. And here's why this matters for people over 60. As you age, your body's natural detoxification systems slow down. Your liver becomes less efficient at processing toxins. Your cells accumulate more oxidative damage. Sulforaphane helps restore these systems. It's not about detoxing in the trendy sense. It's about supporting the biological mechanisms your body uses to eliminate damaged molecules and maintain cellular health. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, which stands for epigallocatechin gallate. EGCG is one of the most studied anti-aging compounds in nutritional science. It activates genes that promote longevity and deactivates genes associated with aging and disease. That sounds almost too good to be true, but the research is robust. Japanese populations that drink multiple cups of green tea daily have some of the lowest rates of age-related diseases in the world. They live longer. They maintain cognitive function. They have lower rates of cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. When researchers tried to isolate what factors contributed most to this longevity, green tea consumption consistently emerged as one of the key variables. EGCG works through multiple mechanisms. It boosts your metabolic rate slightly, which helps counter the natural metabolic slowdown that happens after age 60. It protects brain cells from oxidative stress and may reduce the buildup of toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. It improves the flexibility of blood vessels, which is crucial because stiff arteries are one of the main markers of biological aging. And it supports autophagy, the cellular cleanup system we discussed earlier. Here's the practical application. Drink 2 cups of green tea daily, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Use hot water, not boiling water, to preserve the beneficial compounds. Let the tea steep for 3 to 5 minutes. If you're sensitive to caffeine, choose decaffeinated green tea or drink it earlier in the day. There's something else worth mentioning. Green tea contains an amino acid called L-theanine that works synergistically with caffeine to create a state of calm alertness. This is different from the jittery energy you might get from coffee. The combination supports focus and cognitive performance without the crash. For people over 60 dealing with age-related cognitive changes, this sustained mental clarity can make a noticeable difference. And one more detail. If you add lemon to your green tea, the vitamin C in the lemon helps stabilize the catechins, making them more bioavailable. You're not just adding flavor, you're enhancing absorption. Berries, particularly blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries, contain compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give berries their deep colors. Anthocyanins cross the blood-brain barrier and concentrate in the areas of your brain responsible for memory and learning. Research from institutions studying aging populations found that older adults who ate berries regularly performed better on memory tests than those who didn't. The improvement wasn't subtle, it was measurable and consistent across multiple studies. Your brain creates new neural connections throughout your life, and anthocyanins support that process by reducing inflammation in brain tissue. But the benefits extend beyond your brain. The polyphenols in berries improve the flexibility of your blood vessels. Blood vessels naturally stiffen with age, which increases blood pressure and forces your heart to work harder. Anthocyanins help maintain vascular elasticity, which is one of the most important markers of biological age. Flexible blood vessels mean better circulation, lower blood pressure, and reduced risk of heart attack and stroke. Here's the recommendation. Eat a half cup to 1 cup of mixed berries daily. Fresh is ideal, but frozen works just as well. Frozen berries are often picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen, which preserves their nutrient content. Add them to your morning oatmeal or yogurt. Blend them into a smoothie. Eat them plain as a snack. And here's something most people don't realize. The darker the berry, the higher the anthocyanin content. Blackberries and blueberries have more anthocyanins than strawberries. But variety matters too, because different berries contain different types of polyphenols. Rotating between blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries gives you a broader spectrum of protective compounds. One more practical tip. Don't wash berries until you're ready to eat them. Washing removes the natural protective coating and speeds up spoilage. Store them in the refrigerator in their original container or in a breathable bag to maximize freshness. Walnuts look like a brain, and it turns out that visual resemblance isn't a coincidence. Walnuts are one of the most brain-protective foods you can eat. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, which reduces inflammation and supports cognitive function. They also contain polyphenols, vitamin E, and minerals like magnesium that support cardiovascular health. Research shows that eating 1 ounce of walnuts daily, about 7 whole walnuts, is associated with longer lifespan. Studies specifically looking at adults over 60 found that those who ate walnuts at least 5 times per week lived an additional 1.3 years compared to those who didn't eat walnuts. That might not sound dramatic, but we're talking about a single food consumed in small amounts. The effect compounds when you combine walnuts with the other foods on this list. Walnuts also help stabilize blood sugar. The combination of healthy fats, protein, and fiber slows glucose absorption, which prevents the insulin spikes that accelerate aging. For people over 60 dealing with prediabetes or insulin resistance, adding walnuts to your daily routine can make a measurable difference in your fasting blood glucose and hemoglobin A1C levels. Here's how to incorporate them. Add walnuts to your oatmeal. Toss them into salads. Eat them as a mid-afternoon snack. You can also grind them into a powder and sprinkle them on vegetables, or mix them into smoothies if you prefer a less crunchy texture. And here's a detail about storage. Walnuts contain polyunsaturated fats that can go rancid when exposed to heat or light. Store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator or freezer to preserve freshness. Rancid nuts lose their beneficial compounds and can actually promote inflammation, so proper storage matters. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, and other legumes are staples in every blue zone, the regions of the world where people live the longest. Legumes provide plant-based protein, fiber, and resistant starch that feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is directly linked to reduced inflammation, better immune function, and longer lifespan. What makes legumes particularly valuable for people over 60 is their effect on blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. The fiber and resistant starch in legumes slow glucose absorption, preventing the blood sugar spikes that damage blood vessels and accelerate aging. Studies show that people who eat legumes regularly have lower rates of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic syndrome. Legumes also contain polyphenols and other phytonutrients that activate longevity pathways. Black beans, for example, have anthocyanins similar to those found in berries. Lentils contain compounds that support liver detoxification. Chickpeas provide folate, which is essential for DNA repair. Here's the practical approach. Aim for 1/2 cup of cooked legumes daily. That's about the size of a tennis ball. Add black beans to salads. Make a lentil soup. Use chickpeas in a stir-fry. Canned legumes work fine as long as you rinse them to remove excess sodium. And if you experience digestive discomfort from legumes, there are a few strategies that help. Soak dried beans overnight before cooking. This reduces compounds that cause gas. Start with smaller portions and gradually increase as your gut adapts. Cook legumes thoroughly until they're soft. Add spices like cumin, ginger, or fennel, which aid digestion. One more thing. Legumes are incredibly affordable. For people on fixed incomes, legumes provide high-quality nutrition at a fraction of the cost of meat or processed foods. You're not sacrificing quality for affordability. You're choosing one of the most nutrient-dense, longevity-promoting foods available. Here's what most people miss. These foods don't work in isolation. They work synergistically. The polyphenols in olive oil enhance the absorption of nutrients from vegetables. The fiber in legumes feeds gut bacteria that convert polyphenols into even more bioactive compounds. The healthy fats in walnuts help your body absorb fat-soluble antioxidants from berries. When you combine these foods daily, you're not just adding up individual benefits. You're creating a state inside your body where multiple longevity pathways activate simultaneously. Your cells receive signals to clean up damage, reduce inflammation, protect DNA, improve mitochondrial function, and maintain metabolic flexibility. This is how populations that live past 100 eat, not perfectly, but consistently, not following complicated rules, but choosing foods that send the right signals. And timing matters. Remember the overnight fasting window we discussed. When you eat these foods within a consistent eating window, and then give your body a 12 to 14 hour break overnight, you maximize both the nutrient signaling from the foods and the cellular cleanup from autophagy. You're working with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. Here's a sample day to show you how simple this can be. Wake up and drink green tea. For breakfast, have oatmeal with walnuts and berries. For lunch, make a salad with mixed greens, chickpeas, olive oil, and lemon. Snack on a handful of walnuts in the afternoon. For dinner, steam broccoli and drizzle it with olive oil. Finish eating by 7 in the evening. Don't eat again until 9 the next morning. That's it. No elaborate meal plans, no expensive supplements, just real food eaten strategically.